Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl JoJo, and I am here for the Ready to Love Reunion Season 1 review. Happy New Year! It is officially the new year. Hope you guys are having a great one and had a great New Year's Eve on last night. I'm a little annoyed in the video because this is actually my second time recording it. I took a long time on Sunday trying to record the video, and when I went to start editing, there was no sound in the entire middle part, so had to do it again, but of course didn't have time New Year's Eve, so I was able to get up this morning and do it New Year's Day. But I'm not going to dwell on it because it's a Happy New Year. So we're going to just move on. What did y'all think about the reunion show? Did y'all like it? Did Nephew Tommy ask the questions that we wanted to know? I definitely have some thoughts and opinions on the flow of the reunion, but I'll talk about it at the end of the review. But for a first season and a first reunion show, I thought that the production team did a great job. You all let me know what you all think, and let's get into the meat and potatoes of this review. Nephew Tommy actually starts out talking to Ashley because he wants to talk to each couple about how their relationships have continued after the show has gone off. Well, we know that Alex is sick, but we do find out that their relationship was actually going very well. Ashley is actually the one who took him to the ER the first 2 times, and each time he was sent back with nausea medication or cold medication and that he would be okay. I was really disappointed to hear that. And then when he finally began to get sicker, Ashley said that they decided to call 911 because that was the only way he was going to be admitted. And that made me very sad. I don't know if they were just misdiagnosing Alex or if because he didn't have insurance, they were not going as far with the testing as they should have. But that was very disappointing to hear because I feel like if they would have found out early enough, maybe it would have been something that could have been prevented. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. My doctors and my nurses out there, y'all can let me know. But she talks about how much she misses Alex, how that was her friend, how they were corny together and they loved it. And she loved that man and she was trying to stand by that man, and she would go to the hospital and she would be crying and trying to get it together because she didn't want him to hear the pain in her voice. It's gotten to the point now where he can't talk to you, and it's sad. It's terrible, but she is trying to stay hopeful. I felt terrible for her to go all the way to this point and to find somebody that you finally feel compatible with, especially after having a bunch of bad relationships. And then next thing you know, that person is laid up in the hospital. You start to kind of get that why me feeling. So I felt terrible for her, you guys. I definitely had some tears in my eyes. The whole cast had tears in their eyes. It's just terrible. It's terrible. We move over to Tiffany, and Nephew Tommy asks her, how did this whole thing affect you? And she says that it's been bad for her. Even though her and Alex did not necessarily belong together, she still felt like that was a friend to her and that he was a great guy and he didn't deserve to be going through anything like this. And I wonder if Tiffany felt any guilt for the way that her and Alex ended things and the way that they spoke to each other, and then to see him getting sick. But they may have talked again after that, and we just don't know. As much of a support to Ashley as she can in their relationship and as she goes through the situation with Alex. She's just been trying to be there, so that was great. We move on to Mike and Shay. Mike and Shay are doing well. Mike and Shay are very happy. They almost seem like they trying, to contain themselves on their couch, but they're very cuddled up. They can't keep their hands off each other. Their relationship has been going very well. We do find out that Mike has a great relationship with her son, which is all you can ever hope for a man to have a good relationship with your older children, because them older kids, first of all, they hard to impress. And second of all, they be doing their own thing. They almost out the house, so they ain't really worried about what you're doing, and they ain't making no relationships with nobody. They're moving on to their own relationships in life. So very good that they were able to forge a relationship. In addition to that, Shay is good friends with Mike's sister. Their families are just joining together and everything is going well. So congratulations to them, y'all. I was real excited to see how happy they were about their love. At that point, Nephew Tommy is asking some of the other ladies that were involved with Mike, how did you feel about seeing the connection with Shay? Shatava how did you feel about leaving the way that you left? And Shataba felt good about it. I saw the connection he had with that woman, and at the end of the day, we came here looking for love. I would have been crazy to stand in the way of that. So I wanted them to have that, and I took a step back. Y'all know that made us love Shataba. I really hope her Prince Charming is on the way. He asked Tiffany, and side note, y'all, did Tiffany seem very subdued in this reunion to y'all? I feel like she was very quiet. It's almost if she has been watching the reviews and been looking at the comments that have been going on social media, because they have not been the kindest towards Tiffany, and I feel like she was almost just trying to not present herself in a certain way, because normally she's very vocal, and I just felt like she was very quiet and almost standoffish for the reunion. But Nephew Tommy does ask Tiffany about the connection that she had tried to gain with Mike and how they went on their date, and what was that all about? She says that she was always somewhat interested in Mike. He was always number 2 after Alex. And when the opportunity presented itself for them to maybe go out on a date, they were both mad at 2 people that they were involved with, like Mike said, and they took the opportunity, and she felt like it was okay because we were all on the show and we were looking for love and everybody was dating, so it's not really a big deal. Well, Shay, on the other hand, she said that she was a little upset about it. She thought it was disrespectful. And yes, we're all on the show looking for love, but we also said we were all going to be honest. So why did it have to be a secret? That was my biggest problem. Why did you have to not tell anybody? And Mike, how would you feel if somebody was rubbing all down my arms, rubbing all down my legs? You wouldn't have appreciated that. And Mike said that he understood how Shay felt. However, to him, it was still a dating show and everybody was still dating, but he respected her feelings, because y'all know Mike don't want to get in no more trouble when it comes to Shay, because she will take it there. But you could tell she was really mad about that. I mean, the way she was over there looking at Tiffany, I almost wondered are they still cool? Because she was just looking across like, yeah, I really didn't appreciate it. Now, before I get to Aaron and Angel, I did want to talk about some of the little things that happened in the midst of the reunion. Darnell was very vocal this reunion, and we actually find out that before he left, he was interested in Tiffany and Ashley. Ashley, of course, is a taken woman, but Tiffany is not. So they tell him to shoot his shot, and Tiffany is just like, well, when the dust settles, then maybe I'll be able to. That was a no. I don't know why y'all do Darnell like that. Y'all need y'all a good dude like this, especially you, Tiffany, but she'll probably walk all over that man, so it probably won't work out anyway, but whatever. Mike and Shay, they had to take a lot of steps back in their relationship because Shay was nervous that Mike was not real about what he was feeling and that it was just for the show. Mike was nervous that Shay was going to completely change it up and be doing too much. And then she actually did start doing that, to the point where Mike began to pull back. So they had to have an honest conversation about where they were. Shay told him that she was already in love with him and that it was going to be difficult for her to not be around him and not talk to him, especially if he was not serious. But he was serious. And they've decided to keep their relationship off of social media as much as possible because they need to forge that friendship first. And they need to make sure everything is solid. They're not in a rush to do anything, which I already told y'all about that rush when it comes to them babies. But they're not in a rush to do anything. They want to form their friendship first. And even though people are all in their relationship and wanting them to get engaged and wanting them to get married and have babies and all of this, y'all are not going to be in our relationship, so we got to work on our relationship privately, which was great. Good answer and a good way to keep your relationship. And when I watched the two of them together, I do think they're very much in love. I do think they really do appreciate each other, but something in it, I feel like Shay is a little bit more in love than even Mike is, but it'll probably come with time. But great idea to keep your relationship off of social media. Okay, so now we can get to what I know y'all really want to talk about, and that is Aaron and Angel. When I saw the two of them sitting close on that couch, I said, oh no, I know this is not this is not about to happen. But it's not. All right, the two of them are actually still just friends. They've decided to keep a very close friendship. Nephew Tommy asked Aaron, what was it that you saw in Angel that made you want to be with her, that made you want to have that connection with her and made you choose her? And I wanted to tell Nephew Tommy he did not choose Angel. He was left with Angel, but okay. Aaron says that he saw a certain level of depth in Angel that he did not see in some of the other ladies. Angel was a woman who understood him, who took time to listen and figure out a lot of his flaws, actually told him that he was out there looking like a sucker, because there is an Aaron that Angel has gotten to know, and then there's TV Aaron. She is trying to get Aaron to understand that he needs to show more of that side of himself and not the side that he feels like everybody just wants to see, because the Aaron that she's gotten to know is a really good guy. So, all right, we'll take that. Then we move on to some of the other ladies that have been left in Aaron's wake. Stormy, Courtney, and they had Shantae up there, and I just knew that she was going to get her read in. I couldn't understand why they didn't have Melinda up there instead of Shantae, but probably because they knew Shantae was going to get the read in like they needed it to be done. Y'all ain't slick production, I noticed that. Start out talking to Stormy, and Stormy just says when it came to Aaron, she just really started to see some things she didn't like. Some things that were not upfront to her, some things that were being said and not really lining up with his actions. She says that Aaron has really good qualities, but the way that he executes those qualities are questionable. Aaron disagrees. He tells Stormy that he feels like when it comes to a connection, you kind of have to go through something with somebody. And the difference between y'all and Angel is we actually went through something, and that's how we were able to forge our connection. And Stormy says, yeah, but you told me that you had a connection with me. You told all of us that there was some type of connection. And Aaron tells her, well, that's just the way y'all seeing it. I didn't really say it was a connection like that. You can have a connection with anybody. I got a connection with clients and friends, and I got a connection with cats and dogs. I know he is not comparing these women to cats and dogs. These is human beings. And even if Tommy let him know, like, okay, hold on, Aaron, we are talking about people here. We're not talking about no cats and dogs. But Aaron is just steady trying to explain to us that these women had it twisted how he felt about them. He never told them that he was going to be with any of them. He never told them that he had any extra special connection to any of them. He only said that he had a real connection with Angel. And Stormy said that is not true. You told me that you liked me. You told me that you had a connection with me. You told me that I was your number one. I didn't tell you you was my number one. You did say that to me, Aaron. So Aaron is just like, well, in a conversation with Stormy, I may have said that she was number one, and nephew Tommy said, well, you just said that you didn't say that. At this point, Shantae done about had it, because she sits up and she's just like, I just want to know who hurt you. Do you have to have some type of void missing in your life to handle women the way that you handle women? See, you're weak. You're weak. And Aaron is looking at her like, you weak. You run circles around women that you think you can intimidate, but you can't handle a strong woman like me. And she gets into her talk. Y'all know how Shantae roll. And Aaron tells her, you're hurt, you're angry, you're bitter. And then he kind of just moves on. But Aaron, y'all, they had Aaron on the hot seat. He was scrambling. He couldn't remember his words. Even Shantae was commenting like, your mouth all twisted, you're stuttering, you can't even remember what you got to say because you're over there lying. And she was right. Aaron could not get himself together, and I felt kind of bad for him, but not really. But anytime you see people just getting caught up in their lies, like back to back to back, you just be like, ooh. We move on to Courtney. He tells Courtney, I never really liked you like that anyway. I was just playing. And she was like, you were just playing it? Okay, let's rewind to the conversations that you had with me during brunch. Let's rewind to the conversations that you've even had about Angel to me. And he was trying to cover all of that up. And Courtney was just like, okay, whatever. He said, yeah, I was just playing. I was acting. I was just playing it. And I said, Aaron, this makes you look horrible. Why would you admit on this couch to all of these women that there were certain scenarios in which you were just faking it? Then he has the nerve to tell them, I just wanted to give these women the chance and the opportunity to feel desired and to let them know that a man still wanted them. And y'all, they was outdone. Every woman on the cast was outdone, including me. And I'm not even on the cast, but I was outdone at home because you don't ever have to give me a chance or an opportunity. Like I always say, don't do me no favors. Don't do me any favors. The best thing you can do is be honest with me and keep on stepping. Don't waste my time. You don't have to give me a chance or an opportunity to feel desired. I can feel desired all on my own. Honey, I can look in this mirror and turn my own self on. I don't need you to make me feel desired or wanted, because trust me, there's a toothless man standing on the street that will always remind me that I am the most beautiful woman in the world. So you don't got to do all of that. Them ones that be on them street corners, honey, they will spit that game to you, won't they? But we don't need you to remind us that we're desirable or beautiful, especially not if it's a lie. So I couldn't figure out where he was trying to come from with that. It just sounded a mess, y'all. Everybody was just talking over him, telling him he was a clown, telling him he need to be quiet, catching him up in his lies. Then Courtney and Angel get into some type of weird argument about Twitter, and Angel not liking her and Courtney not liking her, and Angel having a problem with her even though she say she don't. And that's when Ashley stand up and she was just like, y'all two little girls sitting over here arguing on this stage, like, don't nobody care about all that. Y'all can do that later. My man is in the hospital. I said, Ashley, now, you know I love you, girl, but you in that bridesmaid's dress, y'all got to sit down. Like, that was a good point to make, but you are not the host. Nephew Tommy is the host. Let him control the show. This is the reunion, and this is where stuff comes out at the reunion. Now, of course, I didn't want to see them two fighting over Aaron or anything having to do with Aaron, but again, you're not the host. All right, and your man being in the hospital, I know it's very, very sad, but it ain't got nothing to do with what's going on right now. I understood what you was trying to say, but at that time, what we needed you to do was stay up there in your chair and thank you. Let the host and the production control the floor of the reunion. What about Melinda being back there talking about she had the receipts on the stuff that Aaron was saying to her? She had documentation and she had printed out everything, and Aaron was looking at her like, this girl is crazy. So at one point, Darnell, who is sitting in the back, y'all, who is supposedly very quiet, lets Aaron know that he is mad. He is mad at the way that Aaron handled this situation because I wanted an opportunity to be on this show. I wanted the opportunity to date all of these beautiful women and be able to find love. I came in this situation ready. So to see you here, sitting here, and you played these women and you playing games, like, it ain't right, bruh. And I'm going to have to call you out on it. Devin also speaks up. As a black man, we got to take accountability for how we treat these women, because a lot of these things that happen do happen on account of us. And if we don't take the accountability, then things will never change. And I don't think Devin was saying it was all black men's fault, before anybody try to think that. I think that Devin was saying when it comes to relationship, we have to take ownership so we can change how certain relationships are seen on television and also how we handle our relationships in private. So I think that was his point. But Devin and Darnell, you know, they was on Aaron, and Aaron was just like, okay, I can see y'all's point. I guess it sounded different coming from a brother than it did coming from the women who were on stage. And at the end, he does do some type of apology where he says that he did not come in the situation looking for the right things and that he may have led people on and he got a lot of growing to do, you know. I don't think anybody was buying the apology but Angel, honestly. However, what I really wanted was for Nephew Tommy to address the fact that this is the type of man that a lot of these women choose. A lot of these women want to deal with. And why do you choose that type of man if you know you want a different type of behavior? He did kind of ask Courtney, what was it that you saw in Aaron? And they all start talking about him being charismatic and him having charisma. But those were the only two things that Courtney named. And I said, see, this is why we really need to step back as women and say, what do we really like about this person? And make sure that those things are not strictly superficial, not strictly physical, because then you will find yourself in the midst of these situations. And I wanted, even though Aaron was doing a lot over there and he was backpedaling and he was not being honest and he was giving false hope, I wanted Nephew Tommy to shift to the ladies and show them the era. See, this is why I think they need some coaching as well. Show them the era of their decisions when it came to Aaron, and also show them how sometimes we can get ourselves caught up by strictly looking at the physical. The only person who didn't do that, I think, was Stormy, because Stormy was actually interested in Pastor Chris initially. But I just felt like that was a conversation that also needed to be had, but Nephew Tommy doesn't have it, which moves me to the end of the reunion and just how I felt overall about the hosting and the production. I hope in the future they realize that the women could use a little more help. I do hope that they even the scales a little bit when it comes to the numbers on the show. I also hope that Nephew Tommy, if he is going to continue to host, he has got to get control of that stage. At no point should Ashley have been able to have that outburst. The only person who needed to be taking control of the show was the host. Now, what might be a good idea in the future is if you get one of the ex-castmates to host the reunion, now that you all have already had a season 1. I also feel like you guys could look at more comments and questions on Twitter and on Instagram and answer some of the questions we wanted to know. I wanted to know more about the relationship after the show with Shatava and the other women, because y'all remember she said she wanted to keep those relationships. I wanted to know more about how the women felt about choosing Aaron initially. Do you take any ownership of what you were looking for in a man at that time? A lot of y'all were looking for what got your coochie warm and not looking for what really stimulated your brain. I also felt like Nephew Tommy in general was getting like, he was almost like a daddy sometime to them, hush, all right, we're gonna move on now, wait a minute, and I just felt like they needed more of their peer and less of their father at the reunion. So I don't know, maybe getting somebody on the production team. I wouldn't mind seeing Will Packer do the reunion. They seem to have a lot of respect for him, so maybe that would even be interesting. And of course, he intimately knows all of these people now. He's been following them for weeks, so.